All right, what's up, everybody? So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about StarEngine. So this is essentially a gaming engine for a game called Star Citizen, and it actually started out as a Kickstarter project a few years ago, and essentially they promised something that people didn't think was possible. Well, luckily for us, the a preview of the StarEngine game world has now been shared, and I'm going to kind of watch it with you for about a minute or so, just so you can see what exactly is going on and how crazy it is, and also how this relates to micropreneurship and sort of the future of tech. So let's dive into it.
Over, and it was an earth shattering experience. Server meshing, the never before done holy grail gaming tech, was demonstrated live and working at the event. Squadron 42 Star Citizen single player game is now feature complete in the final polish phase, and it looks stunning. Pyro, the new system in Star Citizen, was playable at the convention, and it's releasing at the end of this month in a test server environment. The Star Map user interface was shown off, and it does not disappoint. New ships were introduced, massive improvements to the engine graphics were shown off, space cows and space whales made an appearance. This event may represent one of the most important momentum shifts that we've seen for the game since its Kickstarter back in 2012. You do not want to miss this summary. Now, I'm going to do my best to wrap up what is essentially 12-ish hours of presentations and demonstrations into a bite-sized package for you guys to digest. But if you want to watch the full 2-day presentation, or maybe skip to some of those sections in the presentation, check out my 2 live streams that I did with Salty Mike for the entire event.
Okay, so I'm gonna just stop there because as the presenter for that clip shared, right? The video and presentation for the game engine is incredibly long, but it's incredibly impressive. So I will share a link to the full thing on YouTube in the comments, so you can check it out for yourself if you're interested. But I think what was most fascinating is just how insanely large this environment, this game world, was and is, right? And it actually kind of takes me back to some more philosophical things around, I guess, the creation of our universe, right? So in biblical stories, there was the word, and the word was with God, right? So essentially, God just breathed into existence everything that we know and have come to love. And if you think about it, right, a lot of the times, even from a scientific standpoint, we often, say it's like, okay, um, is there validity to this? Could that be true? There's got to be an origin point. But if you actually look at how they've created this game, I can see how there are parallels, right? As a society, right, humanity, and well, more specifically, this team literally created an entire universe that is so seamless that you can actually venture through the entire thing without ever needing to wait for loading screens for things that we are used to in gaming worlds, right? Because obviously there's a lot of computing power involved. We have to do tricks and things in order to make these uh, gaming worlds as real as possible. But with this particular engine for Star Citizen, it is just it has taken it to a whole new level, right? And so this is the website that they have. So interestingly enough, the domain is called robertspaceindustries.com. But if you go through, you can actually see more of the the entire ecosystem that is being created around this. And this really is the future of gaming, right? And I think what I take away from this is, if it is possible for us to create entire universes in a gaming system, then who's to say that, like, our universe that we consider to be real wasn't created in a similar manner? This actually goes to some of the theories around how we might be in a simulation, right? And this, I think, first came out in some elite circles, And now there's actually studies that are proving that we may very much be in a simulation, right? So let me show you this again. So here is an article from Scientific American. Confirmed, we live in a simulation, right? This is something Elon Musk has talked about before, but this article explores the notion that we may more likely than not be living in a simulation because it's hard to fathom, right? um, when we're not aware, right? It's hard for us to fathom that we are in a simulation, right? It'd be hard to believe, but there'd be many games and a lot of movies over the decades that have sort of trickled in the idea for us to be more open to it, that we may very much be living in a simulation. Now, I don't know what that means for our day to day. I think most of us will just continue living like we have been. But if we are in a simulation, what does that mean, right? Like, what's next for us? And I think games like Star Citizen, where it's showing how we can essentially create these simulated universes, gives us an ability to understand how this might be possible even for our own reality. And I think what's interesting here is that, like, if we can create artificial intelligence, if we can create games that can produce all these things en masse seamlessly, then we could probably uh, understand a lot about how future societies may work from these simulated environments in game worlds. And this is an area that I'm actually becoming increasingly interested in because Elon Musk, of course, is looking at taking us to Mars and making us an interplanetary species. So there's a lot to be gleaned from it. Right now, even for my own personal career over the last decade, it's been about building communities in emerging tech. But I think increasingly I am a lot more interested in what societies and communities may look like in a future interplanetary civilization. Okay, for people who are involved in business, right? What does this mean for you? Well, I think it's just going to bring a whole new level of creativity. It's going to allow you to run simulated events, even from a business standpoint. I think this is going to be interesting because in these simulated environments, there might be whole economies taking place, right, and taking shape. So you might actually be able to play with new types of economics, new types of governments. And I think this is where science fiction and the imagined then informs our reality, and they kind of feed off of each other. Who knows which one came first, right? Is it because of us and inspiration from other things that we create the games, or is it the games that then inspire further creativity for things that we might not have ever thought about before? It's chicken and egg problem, but I think regardless, it is important to take note of some of these advances. The gaming world has actually been huge in emerging tech spaces, from blockchain to crypto to NFTs to Web3, and even to AI now, right? And I think some games are actually playing with new storylines where the characters essentially they have and a general arc or a general storyline, but the AI will allow the characters to have completely new um, speeches or dialogues with players every time someone plays. So it'll essentially never be the same, depending on who's playing. And that's just wild, to think about. But this is the reality that we live in now. All right. So if you have seen this game trailer or this game engine trailer, feel free to comment in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts. And if you have any thoughts as well about, sort of the future of communities and business uh, based off of some of these emerging technologies, would love to hear as well.